go used to have the little track there in the infield. We just kind of just decided to take our old yard beaters and weld a cage on it, and everybody decided to go do it, and it just it kind of just evolved from that. We raced there, stock, bolt on, lawnmower engine, and just go to town with it. Then evolved all the way up to, I haven't been anything like what we see today with the outlaw cars, the 500cc or 250cc's. I stopped at, we used to take the Briggs and Stratton, engines and massage on those quite a bit, but I never got to go quite to the level of the 500cc stuff like what you see, Larson, a lot of these young kids are coming out of in California and whatnot. But I evolved there. Then when I was 15, I made my first laps around Cowtown in a 360 sprint car, and I know a lot of people thought I was crazy for doing it, but just respect the equipment that you're in, and just try not to go out there and be a hero on the first lap, and just learn everything you can, and just as long as you leave the track, knowing a little bit more than when you showed up, I think it's a good night.
Man, John, I have to ask you because I saw something you posted today, and you posted a video of a race that happened over the weekend, and man, I love your words where you said, I mean, sometimes, especially with what you guys are doing, sometimes it's okay to be second. I mean, talk about that because the speeds and everything that you guys are doing, man, it is so dangerous out there and can get hairy in those sprint cars.
Oh yeah, I mean things happen real fast in a sprint car. So you gotta try to be on the wheel at all times, even if you think you're safe. Anything can happen. Parts could break, guy in front of you could screw up. You just never know. I've made mistakes this year that's costed me a car and tore some other people's cars. So I mean, anything can happen. But yeah, we went to Big O Speedway Friday night. They've been trying to run their Friday night programs.
Mm-hmm.
They had us with the late models, and I think Eco Stocks and one other class out there. I don't remember which one it was, but just trying to support a track, running Friday nights that wants to run sprint cars and wants to see it grow on Friday night. So a bunch of us showed up. I think it was 13, 14 cars showed up, and
Nice.
got the run, and we're running around the top, just making a bunch of smooth laps, and wasn't really going anywhere. And then about 3 to go, we had a caution, and I was like, well, I kept seeing a guy over my shoulder kind of closing in on me in the bottom, so I was like, well, I'm gonna go down there and see what's going on, and just parked on the bottom for 3 laps and got the second, and wasn't quite able to get to Austin, but
Yeah.
he's my best friend, so I'd run in second to him. I'll take that. I
Sure.
can't be mad about that. But just one little hiccup on the bottom on the last lap going to 1. I missed a mark by couldn't be more than a couple inches, but it caused me to lose the bottom out of turn 2, and just wasn't quite able to recover down the back straightaway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But second's fun. We can't. As much as we like to win every night, it's just,
Sure.
you don't. So it is what it is, and we'll take second and just try to build on it from there for the next time we go.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, how do you balance racing your friend? You said that Austin was one of your best friends on there. So how do you balance that, right? You want bragging rights against your buddy. We all do when we race against our good friends. But, I mean, what's the protocol if you guys get together on the racetrack or something like that? Do you guys work it out over some adult beverages? Do you guys try to fight it out like brothers? What's your protocol like that when you're racing a good friend like that?
I come up behind him, and it's really it's anybody. I'll come up behind a car, and I try to race the guy in front of me like I own the car that I'm in, which this case I did.
Right.
I'm not out there trying to crash anybody's car. I know how much these things cost. Regardless of who pays the bills, whether you got a full blown route or you working paycheck to paycheck. This sport's definitely expensive. So I want to try to race as respectful as I can. But with that being said, sometimes accidents happen, and the best thing you can do is just, if you screw up, the best thing you can do is just own up to it. Hey, I went in there too hard, and we got together, and I apologize. A lot of times, I'll try to, if I tear somebody's car up, I'll try to, I can't pay for it, but I can help you fix it.
Sure.
Just whatever I got to do to try to get that car back going again.
Yeah. And isn't that, I mean, I think when you've been around this stuff all your life, I mean, it's stuff like you're saying right there. I mean, you're going to help a guy out. I mean, isn't that kind of what's missing in a lot? I mean, I know on the asphalt side, we see it on the dirt side as well. I mean, it's that camaraderie right there is what's kind of disappeared, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the asphalt side. Unfortunately, I don't really follow it a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it could always get better. I mean, if we go out there and we need a part or something, I mean, there's a lot of people that are still willing to help, but there's also a lot of people that don't want to loan their stuff out. And I think, it may be because a lot of it's, just costly to part. If you go out there and tear out my stuff, can you afford to replace it? But, but my mentality is, you're not going to crash my stuff any worse than I can. So if you need it, by all means, take it.
I love it. I love it, man. That's awesome.
So yeah, if I'm able to help, I mean, I've been in positions where, it's how am I going to get to the track? How am I going to put a tire on my car? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? So if I'm in a position where I can help, I always try to.
Mm-hmm. No, it's awesome.
So talk about car prep on these sprint cars. I mean, how much prep do you get to do? I mean, is it one of those where you can just come to the racetrack, slap the tires on it, get it pushed off, and fire off? I mean, how much do you guys get to prep out throughout the week?
Usually we're in the shop every single night. There's, some people do more than others, but, we try to break it down to one night's fuel system. We'll clean the fuel system, filters, nozzles, anything fuel related, we'll clean it. Then, I'll work on the rear end, then I'll work on the brake system, washing the car, obviously, make sure the car's clean. Just, clean the drive line, clean the torque tubes and stuff like that. Make sure, everything's square and freed up like it's supposed to be. Because, if anything's off, I mean, you're definitely going to feel it on the racetrack or, God forbid, break.
Yeah.
A lot of races are 99% of the races I say are probably won and lost in the shop rather than on the racetrack.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I mean, that's one thing my dad always said. It's like, man, if we go to the shop and we're not prepared, I mean, we haven't done our job. We have not done our job. So for you, of course, I saw you in the Southern United Sprints over at Cotton Bowl. So for you, what all series do you run? Is with sprint cars? I'm not real familiar with them. Are there open classes of this around the state? What all are you involved in with sprints here in Texas?
I mean, I'll run anything within reason. I mean, it don't matter to me. But my personal car, like the one that we ran down in Cotton Bowl and over the weekend at Devil's Bowl and Big O, that's our personal 305 car. So anything nice. Race Saver 305, if it's within reason, I'll go there. I really don't care. Whether it be TSS or just local Devil's Bowl or Big O. We ran the stuff down south with SUS. Always have a fun time with Randy Waller and their group. We also have Tommy Bryant. That came on board with us at the first of last year. Of course, we had COVID, but he still stuck by us, and we ran everything we could. So we run the sprint car Bandits. I ran an elite non-wing race this year.
Oh, nice.
So I mean, anything that I can get my hands on that I think we have a shot at doing some good in, I'll definitely show up for.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it about the sprint car? We joked right before you got on the air, but we always talk to the guys that run the sprint cars. I mean, what is it about the sprint car that's most exhilarating for it? Is it the speed? Is it the fact that the drive line's about 2 inches away from your testicles? I mean, talk about like why. Yeah. What is it that makes those cars so crazy, man?
I think they don't weigh anything. Most cars average weight's probably around 305, I'd say. I mean, not excluding outlaw stuff. You're looking probably 1,550 to 1,600 pounds with driver in the car. Ranging anywhere between 500 to 700 horsepower, depending on what's running 305 or 360. So I mean, it can get pretty radical inside the car. And then get yourself a good elbows up track with a big cushion. You're carrying the front end, or throwing bombs at your best friend on any given night. So it's just a lot of fun. With the speed and leaning over on the wing, or if you're running non-wing, you get the wheels up and just pinned over on the right side and just let it eat. So it's just I couldn't ask for anything from that.
So John, when you're behind the wheel of one of those, and I mean, I don't care if it's 305, 360. So somebody told me one time, "Oh, these are just 305s." I'm like, okay. But so when you're, I mean, how far ahead are you looking? I mean, because I was always taught, you look over to the corner, whatever. But I mean, at the rate that you guys are traveling, I mean, that vision, I mean, everything that's happening around you feel these guys. I mean, what's it like behind the wheel of one of these things?
So I think for a perfect example, we ran Cotton Bowl earlier in the year. We got lucky enough to time trial, which that's something we don't get to do a whole lot of.
Yeah.
And just for reference, the last time the Outlaws were there, I think on the second night, Brad Sweet set quick time at a 15.0, and I set quick time at a 15.2.
Damn.
So for a 305, I think that's pretty dang good.
Woo!
So just for speed reference there, I mean, they may have more horsepower, but it ain't worth a crap if you can't lay it all down. So
that's right.
So So I mean, so to me that kind of opened my eyes. Like, okay, we're rolling pretty good.
Damn.
But I come out of the corner. I'm usually looking at the other corner. I'll glance up at the flagman to make sure he ain't waving the flag that that I need to be paying attention to. And then I'll the lights. I'll just did they flip the caution light on? I mean, that'll catch my attention. Otherwise, I'm looking at the other corner.
Jeez, it's crazy.
So talk about the differences between. We're more familiar with Cotton Bowl because obviously we've got to call a lot of races and it's closer to us, and versus when we go to Devil's Bowl. How much they're both big and they're fast. Obviously, Devil's Bowl's a little bit bigger, but how much do you have to change your driving style from one track to the other?
Typically I call myself, more of a short track kind of guy. I like to be up on the wheel and, bend the cars in the corner a little bit harder. But like, we go to, Cotton Bowl or, or even this last weekend with Big O and Devil's Bowl, running, short track versus big track,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can be a little bit more free in the car on a short track and not have to worry about keeping it straight. And you still want to be as precise as you can, but it's not as crucial. But like when we go to Devil's Bowl, I feel like you got to be so smooth and so pinpoint, because if you scrub a corner the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to spend a lap or two or three trying to recover from that one little mistake.
Yeah.
So the bigger tracks, you want to try to stay as smooth and as straight and as fast as you possibly can, and then you'll start shaving some tenths of a second off your lap times.
Yeah.
Rather than try to wonder why they got in front of you driving away when could just be a fact that you're just overdriving the car.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Is there one of these tracks that you like the best? I mean, you seem to do really well at all of them, but I mean, is there one for you where John Ricketts sees that on the schedule and you're like circling this thing and you're like, all right, here we go, we're going to town right here.
Yeah. I grew up at Cowtown. Of course, it's not open anymore, but that's where I cut my teeth. That's where I learned how to drive a sprint car. So I always, did fairly well there once I kind of got comfortable with what I was doing. But I say today, anytime I go to KSP, I've got, a million laps around that place. So, I mean, I could almost drive that track with my eyes closed. So I'd say that's probably one of the tracks. I know, I may not win it, but I'm probably going to be a pain in the butt there. Also, we run the Race Saver Nationals every year up in Eagle, Nebraska. That's probably one of my favorite tracks to go to, just because it's not so much big, but it's high banked and it's right up against the fence, and you just gotta get nasty with the car and just not be afraid to let it all hang out there.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the tracks where you gotta get up on the gas and banging off the cushion, right? The more technical, slow roll and precise tracks usually aren't my better ones. Not to say I can't, hit it every once in a while.
Sure,
but
sure.
I like it where you get up next to the fence and see if we can't scrape the bumper on it.
Yes, sir.
So what's next for you? The next couple of races coming up, are you dead set on points chasing? Do you like to just chase for trophies? I mean, what's the next step for you guys for 2021?
For the rest of the year, with Tommy and Sherry Bryant, I'm going to be running the Bandit schedule. Going to hit all their shows. We're going to try to shoot for a championship there. Unfortunately, we were leading points, I believe, going into 82 Speedway, but I broke a motor in the heat race, so I wasn't able to finish. So that put us, I think we're sitting fourth now, but it's still anybody's race. We've only got a handful in, so we'll run there, Waco, with the Bandit Series Friday, and then Saturday we'll jump back into my 305 car, and I'm going to try to see if any of that stuff I did, this past weekend is repeatable at Devil's Bowl. See if I was just dumb luck, blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while kind of thing.
I'm sure you're going to be fine. Well,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Well, but yeah, we're going to run the full Bandit schedule, and we're looking to try to see if we can't, get a points championship out of that. Outside of that, I mean, I'll just whatever we feel like doing. I know we'll go to Nebraska again this year for the Nationals. I know there's a big race out in Amarillo that's paying, I think, $10,000 to win 305. So we're gonna definitely hit that one up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So good. I'll see you Friday in Waco. I'll be sure to come find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be in there.
Yeah. So for you, what moving forward? I mean, obviously, we're talking about 2021. What's the big goal for you guys? I mean, I know that it's all money driven. I mean, you got to have that financial stuff in place and all of that, and that's always the hardest part. But for you, big picture, where do you want to take this thing for yourself?
For the longest time, I always wanted to race World of Outlaws. I always thought if I could just run competitive World of Outlaws, that would be the best ever. But sitting 32 years old, I'll be 33 in October.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I might get lucky and make one show. But so realistically, for 2022 and beyond, I mean, probably just more or less the same stuff. Just stay around local, run what I can. If something, some opportunity presents itself, we'll go do it. But we'll run the run the 360 car, with the Bandits and elite non-wing stuff as much as we can, and try to have fun doing what we can around the house.
Yeah. I think the cool thing is, I mean, what I'm figuring out is that there's so much around here. I mean, there's so many, if you want to travel a little bit, I mean, you just with Texas in and of itself, I mean, there's plenty of places to go and different series where you can go out, and I mean, you can race all the time around here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and honestly, in my opinion, I think it's actually a lot of the racing slowed down just for the sprint car side of it anyway, because we used to have RPM running every Friday night, Mountain Creek Speedway every Friday night,
Mhm.
Devil's Bowl every Saturday, KSP every Saturday, plus you're traveling different traveling series. So there wouldn't, a couple years ago, it wasn't nothing for us to put 50, 60 nights in a year just running local.
Damn. That's a
So
bunch.
we go from running 60 nights a year down to probably 25 to 30. So really, I think it's almost kind of slowed down just a little bit, but there's a lot of tracks, like I said, we got Big O, that's the one to try to pick Friday night sprint cars back up. And so
Mhm.
hopefully if anybody's listening, go support them.
Yeah.
We need to try to get stuff built back up like it used to be.
Yeah.
But we do still have tracks. We got a lot of the traveling series with Elite and Bandits and TSS and SUS. I mean, plus all your Oklahoma stuff. You can run West Texas. I mean, there are options out there. It's just not as just trying to get it built back up to what it used to be. I think back in 2013, 2014.
Yeah, it's got to be cool for you guys. I mean, because you guys, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's SUS. Doesn't matter what it is. You guys come to town, and it's like, oh man, here comes Van Halen. Here comes The Weeknd. I mean, whatever the hell the top artist. I mean, for you guys to come rolling up and you see pack stands and they're coming because y'all are there. I mean, that's got to be pretty badass.
Oh yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, it's really cool. Like we'll show up to a track, whether it be just a little 305 race or an ASCS race. Well, it really doesn't matter. You go up, you see stands just jam packed full, and cheering when you announce when you hear your name announced. So that never ever gets boring. I promise you that.
Yeah. I was laughing the other day because I drove out of Waco. I was there announcing on Friday night, and by the time everything was done and I drove out, I looked up at the board and it already said next Friday sprint cars. That's all it said. That's all it said.
Yeah.
So there's your billboard right there.
Yeah. People. I mean, I know that a lot of people think this is a modified country, but I think there's a lot of people that really enjoy the sprint cars too when we get to come in.
Yeah. I know folks love it. They go crazy. John, man, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on really good 2021, man, and look forward to Friday night, and then hell, go double up at Devil's Bowl, man.
That's certainly the plan. I appreciate y'all having me on, and we'll see if we can get lucky 2 weeks in a row.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know luck. I mean, just take care of business, man. Keep kicking ass, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and look forward to doing it next time.
You bet, man. Take care.
You too.
You bet. There he is, John Ricketts. Humble.
Yeah.
Humble man.
Yeah.
But I mean, seriously, with the time trials, I didn't, and I called the time trials, and I remember it was a big deal for that because a lot of folks are telling me, it's like, man, they never time trial. And dude, he was blazing. I didn't realize it was that close to the World of Outlaws.
Well, that was close on Saturday. Friday night.
That's true. Yeah.
Friday night they were 2 seconds faster.
Well, but I mean that.
But on to be able to be that close to the World of Outlaws, that's something. If you're a sprint car guy, that's what you want to be.
Yeah. And that dude, I mean, seriously, every time I watch them, and now I do realize it. I mean, because I hadn't seen a lot of sprint cars. I mean, I saw sprint cars a long time ago, but I mean, now it is. For me, I truly do understand. Like I'm telling him there, where it's like, here comes Def Leppard, or here comes Taylor Swift, or whatever the hell.
You're showing your age.
Pardon me.
Again.
Yeah. But I'd have to pick out the people that my kids talk about. Taylor Swift.
I don't even think she's popular anymore.
Oh, she pissed somebody off again?
Yeah, she had to write some more, sad, heartbreaking songs.
Break up music. I mean, not that that's funny, but I mean, seriously, it is. I mean, when those dudes and ladies come rolling up in there, and seriously, it was one of the guys that, oh man, no, those are only 305s. I'm like, what the hell's the difference? I mean, look at that thing. I mean, when they get going, you can't tell the difference between a 305 and a 410. No.
You're avid, super duper, keen eye, sprint car experts will be able to tell the difference.
Yeah,
It's like the difference between a Tundra Super late model and a Southern Super Series late model. They're all the same basic thing.
And that really was the thing. I mean, I was laughing Friday night when I pulled out because I looked up there and Jerry Friedrich and all those guys at Heart Attacks, they already put up there. Next Friday, sprint cars. That's all you got to say.
And that pulls them in. It'd be
All you
packed
gotta
house
say.
on Friday.
I know when the Bandits were there earlier in the year, and ASCS, non-wingers were there. And, I mean, people show up there way early all the time. I mean, we race at 8. The gates open at 6. I get there about 5:30, and there's a long line of people ready to get in there. But when the sprint cars are coming, and they always put that, sprint cars, that's it. Dude, it's like, man, why are you here so early? I mean, $3 beer and I guess all the fun to heckle the announcer. But it's gonna be a great show. And yeah, Ricketts, man, he's really, really good. Really good.
Well, I didn't realize as much as they try to change out some of the fuel systems and stuff like that. Obviously, we've talked about it before. If you're not prepared when you get to the racetrack, races are won and lost out of the shop. But I think that the ability to go through these machines, having a good solid maintenance schedule and a working schedule on these things, it makes it all the more fun.
Yeah, it really does, and it's a great show every time, and that is the beauty of it. I mean, there'll be plenty more dates that sprinkled throughout Texas, and I mean, I know up there in North Texas, like he's talking about, with Big O trying to get him back on a regular schedule. I mean, there's lots of opportunities to see them, but that's really great. And I mean, that's where we can look on the asphalt side, where it's like, well, for one thing, if we had more tracks, but that's why we say, with Houston, if you get yourself a pro late model race, kind of same thing with late models, when they say late model stocks, like with the Cars Tour, oh, that's just a late model stock.
Yeah, just a late model stock.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's a late model. I mean, it's just that term, sprint car, late model, whatever it is. And we got to give a lot of love to the dirt late models also. I mean, because when Johnny was on here, I mean, they had a really good big race at 37 with a lot of late models. And that's where it's good to see that happening again. Because what we see on the asphalt side is, either things just die off and never come back, but we're really seeing a resurgence of the late models. We're seeing sprint cars, other than World of Outlaws. We're seeing these other sprint car series that are coming about. I know with ASCS, I mean, we saw 23, 24 of them at Waco, and with Southern United, I mean, it was 24 of them at Cotton Bowl, and that's good. I mean, that's good. That's what you want. And, of course, all the other classes are doing great. Got all these factory stocks and stock cars and everything else. I mean, definitely a great case in point right there where it's thriving here in Texas on the dirt side.
Well, it's getting there. I mean, when you have the sheer number of tracks, and he's right, there's not near as many tracks as there once was.
Mm-hmm.
The craziest part about Cowtown and Kennedale, when they used to run the same back to back, when the racetracks themselves were actually back to back, full pits, full stands on both sides. So, we don't have the once prominent dirt tracks we do. There's still a bunch of them, but as they come and go, as the circle of life on racetracks do, there's everything in racing has a circle, right? There for a while, everybody was running sprint cars because that was the cool thing to do, and that was the it class. Then everybody went to the modifieds, and everybody went to the sport mods. Everybody's going to the factory stocks.
Mm-hmm.
You see guys that used to run. You see guys used to run sprint cars running factory stocks.
Yeah,
and even some limited modified. So it's now it seems like the sprint cars are getting built back up a little bit, but the cost associated with the sprint cars is still astronomically high, as it is with most race cars. But it's the economies of scale. So, if it's not that much more to run a sprint car than it is to run a late model, then you might as well just run a sprint car if that's what you really like and that's what you enjoy racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about all those tracks, RPM will actually get back to business this weekend. They were set to race on the 30th of April, but like everybody else, they were canceled. So
they've had a couple of rainouts up there.
Yeah, a couple of rainouts back to back. So good for them to get going once again. And I think we're in a weather pattern where we're supposed to. I don't know where anybody watching on the Facebook feed or YouTube, whatever the hell, at this point. We were supposed to have weather here, but I guess all that's going to be more south. So I think our San Antonio friends, and there is something going on, because you probably caught right there at the beginning of that John Ricketts thing. We had an online issue right there that kind of dropped us straight down, and we were able to reconfigure really, really quick and get it going once again. But there's something happening. But it's good to see tracks able to get race dates in. I mean, it's so important. I mean, rainouts are so hard. I mean, it's where we go back to, you have to thank that promoter and just appreciate them, because any night that you have a race set, and it doesn't make a shit if it rains out Saturday afternoon, or if you're having to call this thing on a Thursday afternoon before a Saturday show, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of lost money right there.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a lot of issues, right? Even if they get a chance to cancel, you get to save a little bit of money because you don't lose out on the food, you don't lose out on some of the staffing costs when you call it early, but you still lose out on a lot of revenue. If no one's coming in the door, there's no revenue coming into the racetrack.
That's right.
It's really that simple.
That's right.
If the doors are closed, there's no money coming in, whether that be through Mother Nature or through just having a week off. I mean, the bills themselves the monthly bills don't stop at the racetrack.
That's exactly right. And I can definitely tell there's online issues happening around here just by looking at the TV in the studio. So if we have a hiccup, we do have a backup system. So just kind of hang tight with us. But coming up here in a little bit, we talk to Dave Mader. And that's one of those pavement asphalt legends where, I mean, this can be dated so far back to the wins that he's had. I mean, I think he won the Snowball Derby in 1978, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, that's a guy where he'll tell stories, and hopefully we'll get him to get us some good stuff. And hell, like we said, I mean, we had to move him back a little bit because he's out testing an ARCA car at Charlotte this weekend or today. And that's pretty damn cool. That's pretty damn cool.
It is cool, especially when you had a really good run there at Talladega that he had, and being able to
of all places. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you make your own luck. Other times you're just good.
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking the other day, and there may be more news later in the week with some other stuff. But so it's pretty cool with the COTA thing, and this is asphalt related. But so we will have when the trucks show up for their Saturday race at Circuit of the Americas coming up on this big weekend that's going to be happening. You'll have Austin Self, you'll have Bailey, you'll have Corey Roper. It's going to be a really good contingent of former CTS racers.
Yeah, we really will.
Pretty cool, right?
About it. Yeah, long-time Central Texas racers there. I mean, even though Corey's from Baytown, he ran CTS, and super late models around here for a long time. So that's cool to see the success of the never give up attitude with some of the stars. I mean, did you see that wreck? I guess you didn't see it because you were in Waco, but did you see the replay of that?
Oh, I saw it. I got home and
20 car or 20 truck pile up there at Darlington.
I got home and watched that. That looked pretty gruesome. Pretty gruesome.
It's pretty rough. I mean, when you have it looked like a Talladega style crash, but I just think the Truck Series is coming into a different element right now. It feels like you've got some of the established stars that have been there for a while, and you've got, obviously you're going to have the racers that come in, race for a couple of years, and then boom, they're going to do something else.
Yeah.
Whether that be trucks or whether that be Xfinity Series or try to move directly into the Cup Series like some of them have. But I mean, I think that the Truck Series, it has a lot to do with Camping World, but the problem is there's still too many unsponsored trucks.
Yeah.
Did you see the Twitter conversation? It was either a Twitter conversation or a Facebook conversation. Somebody tagged Marcus Lemonis into a Sheldon Creed
I saw that.
victory lane, and he said that I'm trying to help, and Sheldon Creed replies, "We're worth more than $15,000." So I don't know if that was for the year or per. If that's per race, that's not bad, but it's probably a sponsorship for the a couple of races, I would imagine.
Yeah. That I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard, and that's where we go back to this new car. I mean, part of this is going to be that it's going to be a little more affordable for owners and all this, that, and the other to make that happen on the Cup side. But we won't dig too far into that. But I mean, that is one of the beautiful things about this is I think that we could see, whether it be new OEMs or new ownership or whatever we may see. But I thought it was interesting the other day. We saw that we talked about this Saturday as well, where the SRX, which I love what you said on Saturday. Don't act like this is going to be something with the Superstar Racing, whatever it's called. I mean, don't act like this is going to be something that it's going to come in and it's going to blow NASCAR off the map. Because
it's not.
Guys, I don't care. I don't care how bad the product gets. You're still going to have this. We've seen in the last few years, and I'm pointing because it's on. We've seen in the last few years that there's been some really shitty racing, and it's still here. It is the goal. I mean, it is the goal. Was just saying with the sprint car, his goal has always been World Outlaws. You can talk to any of these guys, and even people that say I hate NASCAR Cup racing, I can't stand it. I guarantee you, if Jack Roush came a knocking and said, sign this.
We're gonna go cup racing.
Yeah, we're gonna put you in the 6 car because Ryan Newman isn't gonna drive it anymore. They can say all the bad shit they want about NASCAR Cup racing. They're gonna sign it.
Exactly. Whether you're a World Outlaw guy, you're a pure stock guy. Somebody comes up and says, "Hey, let's run. I want you to run this car at this track at this points and all of that." Most people would take up the offer. Some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
More power to the ones that can't.
Mm-hmm.
That won't take it. But most of the time, if somebody comes through and says, "Hey, I want you to race this car for me," a lot of people really don't turn it down.
No, absolutely. I mean, you're going to jump all over that. I mean, that really is the ultimate goal for most people. And the SRX, I mean, it's going to be really cool. I mean, we were talking about that the other day. I mean, I think it's something that seems to be a little more made for TV. I do like. I mean, there are short track attributes and short track things about it where you're going to draw for spots and draw for cars. It's got the IROC feel to it. I mean, there's a lot of that really brings us back a little bit. But when it comes down to it, it's what's going to draw, what's going to bring the good TV ratings and all of that. It's going to be the people in the series, and that's great. I mean, they figured out a way to do it. I still wish. I mean, I still wish because they added Haley Deegan. I mean, throw Stephen Nasse in there. Mm-hmm. Throw somebody like that in there. I think that would really bring in a whole different audience.
Well, I think Haley Deegan, we the magic phrase, I think I'm going to hang it up in one of the studios, either your studio or my studio. Move the meter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's what we always talk about a lot of times is moving the meter. That's what they do, right? That's what Haley Deegan does. When you move the meter, and it gets a little different demographic up in there, because I think you have your solid set 8 to 10 guys that are going to do it, and then they throw in a couple of the rookies or some of these people that are the local stars, if you will, kind of like those deals. So
yeah,
I think there's only 12 cars total, I think is what it is. So you got 10 of your regulars or eight of your regulars, and they bring in a couple of different next gen drivers, so to speak. They have a special term for it, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Well, and it's like we talked about. I mean, it's going to be very much like a Supercross. A lot of attributes of Supercross also. I mean, where you're going to run a scheduled, 15 minutes, whatever it is. When you hit the 15-minute mark, you're going to throw the white flag, you run one more lap, and then that's done. And there's a lot of that. And so they've taken little parts and pieces of different series, of different organizations. They've done different things to make it really appealing. I mean, you're going to run, I don't know what it is, 2-3 hours, whatever it is. When you tune in at 7, it's going to be done by 9 or 10, whatever the scheduled time is. 100-lap main event. I think it's Stafford. They're going to run 150 or whatever it is. But I mean, it's going to be really cool. I mean, it's going to be really cool to watch. But it's not a direct competitor to NASCAR. I mean, I think if there's anything that could be a direct competitor to NASCAR, is if you could figure out a way to really get the super late models, whether it be with CRA or Southern Super Series, and we're seeing divide with all of that. Even though we are seeing the guys from the West, being a part of the South, and the Eastern guys as well. I mean, I think that asphalt super late model racing might be the one that on a given Sunday could put a dent. But it's got to be if the Cup Series is on Fox, super late model got to be on CBS. I mean, you got to have that exposure. It's the bottom line. That's all there is to it.
Speaking of exposure, can you believe the COTA race is on FS1 and not on Fox?
I don't get that. I mean,
for a race like that, and there's so many people, the ratings are just higher on network TV that you think that'd be one that COTA would say, hey, we want it on Fox.
I mean, think about what we're dealing with tonight. I mean, we just shut the TV off in the studio because there's weather around here that's causing problems. I mean, if the weather's kind of sketchy that day, you're probably going to lose FS1, but you can always go down and turn on your converter box or whatever the hell it is with the rabbit ears, and you can get here Channel 7, Fox 29 or Fox 4 or whatever it is in Dallas. But I don't get that. I mean, that's a lot of build up to kind of shove it aside. That's stupid. I mean, I don't know what else is going on that weekend. I don't know if there's something that's happening that evening that needs to be on the network thing. But that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's the strange way that, as I had to double check it and see. So it looks like I have to give my dad's not. My dad wants to watch it, but he wanted to watch it live, but it's just not working out for him to go live. But I think I'm gonna end up giving him my Fox Sports app that weekend so he can end up watching the COTA race.
Yeah. And that's going to be fun, and for race fans, up this way. I mean, get out there and check this thing out. I mean, I know it's I know when all the conversation came up about street courses and all this different stuff. I mean, because like we were talking about, we talked about it Saturday. I mentioned it a while ago, where Mexico City and Denver are kind of coming to the forefront to be in spots where you can run a street course. I mean, but this is really for the betterment, I think, of racing. And I think the COTA race is going to be really good. I mean, simply because of the unknown. I mean, they're going to get out and practice. I did get to see them at a test earlier, a Toyota test, or a Goodyear test.
Tire test.
Goodyear tire test. I got to see them out there, and they're freaking flying. Dude, I'm over at turn 19, and Truex and Keselowski, these guys are rolling around the corners up there, and they're doing sprint car thing. They're doing the ice stock thing. That left front is not on the ground. And I asked Truex about that. I said, dude, your left front is up off the ground. He's like, what? I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they told him this, but this is going to be pretty damn special. I mean, this is a big deal.
Well, and it'd be different if the road racing component of the series was not as good as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the road racing stuff. I wish there'd be more excitement about it. You're starting to see more excitement about it now, but that's just, to me, is just a little too late.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the buzz now. I think I feel bad for Dover because this is their only race weekend, but everybody's already starting to talk about COTA.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit too late. I think having I would have done COTA and Darlington. I'd have flip flopped the races.
Yeah. Well, remember we talked to Matt Weaver, and he was like, "Yeah, I guess the run is pretty good in Austin, but he's like, industry standards, they're not pushing it that hard." And I really think I do think that with the FS1, I mean, I love FS1. I mean, I watch a lot of FS1, but I really do think that's not a slap in the face, not an insult, anything like that. I mean, FS1 is really good. I mean, FS1, I like FS1 better than the ESPN2 and all the subsidiaries of all these other different, NBCSN, whatever it may be. But man, I just think you're missing the mark right here, man. I think there's a golden egg laying there, and you're kind of passing it off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's just they missed the mark having it on the cable only network, and I understand why they move certain races because they want certain people to subscribe to it. I think the difference is, though, if you were going to subscribe to FS1, you'd already done it.
Right.
Because FS1 has been there for so long, and part of it was that it's included on so many basic cable packages now that it made more sense to have it in there. But, if it's not part of your basic cable package and you're going to subscribe to it, you already would have done it. Mm-hmm. I think we saw that with NBCSM where they ended up, before they announced they were going to close it, which is another one of those things, where are all those races going to go?
Mm-hmm.
Probably go. I'm going to guess they're going to USA.
Well, I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, they're not going to go away.
I think USA is actually probably a better place to put it. But the weird part with that is, I mean, people don't. I think a USA Network, and I associate it with Raw. I mean, that's really the only thing that I think of, or Silk Stockings, which I talked about that. That was back in the 90s. That was a sultry show back in those days.
It was, and it came on after Raw, which I always thought was the weirdest thing.
Show.
Especially with the demographic of Raw being those kids, and you end up, 10:05 p.m. There's somebody in stockings getting murdered.
Man, and then the intro of that show when that lady had her leg up and high heels, and a lot of times that was better than Raw.
I wonder what I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see if that's on YouTube. Not that we're gonna post it on our page, but now you got me wondering what's
Dude, the intro. The intro of that song, that song that started that program was just so good. That was really.
It's in there. You get to the L in stalking.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And it says intro, like it comes up as something that somebody's worked with. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there it is right there. We'll try to get the song played here before we talk to Dave Mater. Let's get all this crap out of the way before we talk to Dave Mater. But that was
the pilot episode is on YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a thing for Rita. I really liked her. When they put them together, I mean, when they finally got married, but I think they finally put them together because Chris, he wanted to leave the season before. Don't ask why I even know this. He wanted to leave the season before, but they gave him a little change, and they're like, hang around, let's finish this thing out. Then Mitzi Capture, who was Rita, got pregnant. And they're like, okay, well, let's figure this out. And then they kill him off, and it's like, oh, geez. I mean, could we have not found a better way to do this? I mean, he like gets shot, and she's pregnant. Like, come on, man, what is this?
Yeah, that was bad. That was rough.
Yeah, that was torment right there. The way that they did that, but just horrible stuff. But that really was, man. That show was a little off the cuff right there for back in those days.
And it started on CBS.
That's right.
It
did, and it got canceled.
On CBS
Yeah.
and got canceled, and they picked it up on USA.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know that either. So, but you know, to go back to the Coda thing, I think that as far as the Coda stuff goes, in terms of trying to get it narrowed down to network TV, I think part of it is going to end up.
Hold on.
Oh, did you get it?
I mean, who isn't getting excited by that? And we're not even showing the video.
It's been a long time since
Dude.
I've seen this.
Oh yeah. I think that should be the new intro of the Revved Up Sports Show.
Might have a copyright infringement.
Oh yeah, that's right. Whoa. Man, that was way back then, dude.
1990. It was on TV from 1990 to 1999.
Wow. And then they brought in a couple of other people. They brought people in to fill the roles, and I mean, it was okay, but it was kind of like that whole Coin Vance thing. It's like, yeah, man, it's not the same. I mean, the dude's good, the girl's cute, but I mean,
Tom and Cassie, who the second one.
Tom and Cassie, that's right.
I mean, I got Wikipedia right up here in front of me, so
yeah, just wasn't quite the same, man. But that was a great program. I love that program.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun right after Raw. So
right after Raw, I was like, I'm gonna tune in to watch Raw. Fast forward. Give me silk stockings.
That's right.
It's good stuff. Again, Dave Mater, about 5 minutes. We're gonna get on the horn with him, and we'll talk some legendary stuff from really, really good dude. And hell, he's still winning. One of the graphics that we'll have up here in just a little bit. Hell, he was in victory lane the other day. So good for him. Good for him with that. So Houston will be back on the 29th of May. That's going to be a huge race. And I know we've talked to Gina on here, and Gina's a little concerned about being a holiday weekend and so forth and so on. But I think that's more of a race where, to me, especially going through the pandemic, that I think that could be a good thing.
I think so. I mean, you're going to lose some people. I am one of those people that end up will not be going to H&P. Because every once in a while you have family stuff that you can't get out of. I mean, there's a small chance. There's a little small chance that I'll be able to go, but not really. It becomes one of those where it's like, do you want to go, and question is the risk worth the reward type of thing? I think is the way to look at that.
Yeah.
And so that would be that being. I don't want to take away from the decision. There's always decisions on why certain schedules will shake out the way that they have to. So, but I think that there's been such a gap in the schedule. People are fiending for it. Mm-hmm. You'll have a little bit of Mobile people probably come, since it's a holiday weekend, get a chance to travel. And so I think that ends up adding an extra element that people will not necessarily always want to be there, because there's been the Mobile thing. I think you're going to see a lot, and I say a lot, I think you're going to see a handful, see 4 or 5.
Yeah, a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from that was that a lot of the Mobile folks were really impressed, and thank goodness on the Outlaw side, we're really impressed that a lot of the Texas guys would travel, and again, this is where we've talked about that in the past, where Texas guys would travel to Florida, and this is a whole new situation to where you're not quite going to Florida, and the Mobile guys like that, and I think there's at least 3 or 4 outlaws that I know of that are like, hey, I'll go. I mean, I'll go down and run. And honestly, the whole thing is, I mean, I would love to see John Heil show up and race in Houston, simply because, I mean, John Heil has that target on his back. I mean, it's like he shows up, and you want to go and you want to beat the best. And if he would go race in Houston, I think that would pull some guys over. I don't think that he's going to do that. I wish he would. John, come on, my friend, please come race with us. But I think that would be really good. But I tell you, for the folks that want a stock class, there are a lot of Mobile guys, whether it be in the pure stocks or the sportsman class, whichever one of those, which were both pretty well attended for a track that had been closed for 2.5 years. There are a bunch of those guys that are like, we want to go race in Houston.
That's what I say. Are there as many people from Mobile that want to run in Houston as many Houston people that want to run in Mobile?
It's the other way around. I mean, the Mobile people are like, man, we want to go to Texas. We want to go. It's not that far. Texans. I know it's far. I drove it. We've both driven it. I mean, it's far. I mean, it's far, but I mean, this is kind of what we are afforded with at the moment. But I talked to a lot of sportsman guys that were like, dude, we want to go run at your track in our class. I'm like, well, we don't have your class.
So there needs to be about there needs to be about 12 of y'all.
Yeah, I was like, if y'all show up, you can be our class. So hopefully that happens. I mean, man, you want stock classes? I mean, and this is where all you guys that want that stock class, and here's where this is going to get tricky, because what's going to happen is, let's say we get 10 sportsmen that show up in Houston, and they're like, we're here to race. We're going to have guys that are like, well, our cars look like that, but our rules are more like the pure stock. Mm-hmm. Sorry, this is what's here. You want to race, you got to race this.
I mean, you can bring a lower class car up to an upper class car, but you can't take a higher class car down to the lower class.
Well, and it's like we talk about with the super stock thing in Houston, where it's like, okay, if you have something that is close, I mean, it's something that's halfway close that you consider, if you have a pure stock, bring it out and race with the super stocks. You're not going to win, but you're growing something here, and that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, what the hell do I know? But I mean, that's what I think.
You're not wrong. I mean, but the problem is dealing with, you got to get 20 of them to say they're going to show up to get 10.
That's exactly right.
That's the problem. You got to get, if 12 say they're coming, you're going to get 6. If you're lucky, you might get less than that. You might get close to 4. So, who knows about that? But I think that all in all, I think that this is the relationship between the Gulf Coast and the Houston area has always been one of those that's been a little, I don't want to say questionable. Questionable is not the right word, but it's always had the ability to be much better. Because as we've talked about before, there's been plenty of times that that the Texans travel, but a lot of that was just due to circumstance because of the fact that there wasn't anywhere else to go. Once Kyle closed and Houston was closed, we didn't have anywhere else to go but race in Pensacola. That was the closest racetrack, because we really didn't even have Mobile at the time either as an option, just because the way that the schedule was there. So you had your two. If you were running a late model, you were running a modified or something like that, a truck, you had 2 different places to go. With the truck, you only had one place to go, which is Pensacola. But if you had a chance to go, with a pro late model, you had a chance to run in Pensacola, or had a chance to run at I-44 Speedway in Lebanon, Missouri. So there wasn't a lot of different places for you to go in terms of having a racetrack to have. Now the reciprocal portion, I mean, we appreciate the fact that a lot of the Florida guys only run in Florida because, well, they have a couple of different options that we don't have. Yeah.
I mean that's part of the thing here, and I really think where this could be a good situation is, where we're talking about with Texas and Florida and everything. Now we're dealing with Alabama, and there are a lot of places. There are a lot of places where these guys. And it's kind of, I think what I'm really feeling in Mobile is that these guys, ladies, all of them, I mean, what they're really feeling is that they've been without. Mm-hmm, and I mean, it's like, I hate to, and certainly I'm not telling you don't feed your pets, but I mean, if you have a dog that hadn't eaten in 2 days, they're going to go grab a raw piece of anything you throw in front of them. And I really think that that's what's happening here with these folks. Is it's like, we didn't realize that one guy was like, we didn't realize you guys had such a great thing going on in Texas. I'm like, we don't. I said, we've run for a couple of seasons. I said, but man, we are struggling. And he's like, but here's where he made his point. I don't mean to be touching you so much.
That's okay.
We're both vaccinated. I was like, yeah. He tells me, he's like, yeah, but you've been running. We ain't done shit.
Well, that's true.
Good point. Put me in my place.
Did you know we lost the camera too?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I did know that.
Okay.
I did that intentionally. I'm trying to help the Wi-Fi. I'm trying to help this Wi-Fi incident that we're having. Did call Dave Mater again. He was testing, so we could have a flaw in the slaw. We'll hang out though. We'll hang out and see if he calls.
We'll give him a few minutes. His
we'll give him a
people,
little
his
bit.
people talk to our people. Obviously, the ARCA deal has a little bit higher priority than us. So
yeah, Dave was like, man, I hate to tell you this, but anyway, but if we don't get him, which this has happened before, so don't be surprised. If we don't get him, we will get him soon, because he wants to come. He wants to talk to the Texans. He wants. Hell, he ran San Antonio. I think he ran Corpus. I mean, he ran all these tracks with All Pro.
I was gonna say, I'm sure he was here back in the day with the All Pro stuff.
Yeah. So if we don't get him, we'll hang here and try to get him, and we'll continue this discussion about, because it is fascinating conversation. I mean, I really like what I really liked. I'll tell you what I thought was really cool, and I'm going back to the Outlaws. What I thought was really cool at Mobile was that you had J.J. Day, who was an Alabama guy.
Mm-hmm.
You had, especially after I was getting heckled all day about with horns down and all this stuff, for me as a Texas guy, you had a really good Alabama driver going toe to toe with a really, really good Texan who's also really good in Florida. So to see that kind of race in the Outlaws, which has struggled, and it's struggling in Florida too. I mean, for crying out loud, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that gives some potential. And I do think, man, I do think that these guys are going to come play in Texas. I think they're going to. I think they want to.
I think that the allure is there, right? When you have something that's new, and not that Houston is new, but it's just a different beast from what they're used to. I think is the easiest way to say it like that, because of the fact that they've had, it's not a half mile. It's fast, but I mean it's not Mobile fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that part of the way to look at it in terms of having a new. It's like having that new toy, like where you want to have the toy, but are you going to play with the new toy? So I think that having it the way that it's done, Gina is accomplishing what she wanted to accomplish. She wanted to get the crossover between Mobile and Houston going. I think you'll see more of it. I think we'll see more of it next year, when Mobile runs more than 4 races.
Well, and I think that moving forward this year in 2021, one of the things that we're really going to see is when we get to I got to be real honest with you, what I was disappointed in was trucks and modifieds. But I do understand that Montgomery had stuff going on that night as well that was already in place. And I mean, it is what it is. But I really think that when we get to these bigger money races that are coming up, and Advanced Auto Parts has stepped up, and they're doing things, to really help the program out. I think when we get to those, that's where we really have that opportunity to. Gina's plan is to, at some point, one of these classes is going to step up and become the next class that could set up a touring thing like what she's wanting to do with the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to tell you that I was really surprised. I would not, going into that weekend, I would have not thought that coming out of the weekend, I'd have said, well, it looks like to me that the Outlaws are the ones that are going to be the ones on deck to really do something like that.
Well, I think it's just surprising. Obviously, we know where there's more Outlaws at is in the Southeast, because that's where they started. But I also think that it's going to be a challenge to get some of those guys to Houston, with as far as it is for some of those guys, because a lot of those guys came from Florida. In the Outlaws, but I mean, I think it's cool. If we can get them, we can get them. Like, I mean, I'd love to see another good solid race with 12 to 14 Outlaws, especially in Houston. That'd be a hell of a race.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that would be a really, really good race, and folks want to go to Houston. I mean, it seems like those folks in Alabama really do think that it's a big deal to go race there, and I do think that it would be. But just remember, because we've talked to a lot of people that are still, well, folks are focusing on Mobile and this, that, and the other, but I mean, a lot of it is. I mean, with Mobile, the flexibility is a little better. I mean, there's challenges there with grandstands and everything. And I'm going to tell you right now. Here's the plan with the grandstand. So here's a lot of the problem is Mobile is set up the old school way, the way Longhorn was, to where you would go and you would sit in those bleachers and you sat your ass right here. And you had this much room in between the spot underneath where you throw the beer cans down and everything else. And that was totally fine back in those days. But these days of everything that when it comes to, I mean, things have changed so much between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened now is with Mobile, that's too much of a space. So what they're doing, Gina talked about it. She's purchased some aluminum seating, going to replace those boards, and then use the others as footers that'll block you from falling through, just to get the shit to pass code.
Yeah,
I don't
you gotta
mean
you got to get it to pass code
right,
first.
right. You know, I don't mean it just to get it to pass code, but that's the plan there, to where you can get in there and you can get people in the stands. That's the bottom line.
Well, that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to get the people in the stands. Passing. It's so funny. Back in the day, San Antonio used to do the most of the strangest things to get people involved in it, to get the inspection process done. We're not saying it was mysterious and mischievous, but
and that's a great conversation with Nick Holt. Well, remember that one? RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Go back and listen to that. It's like, hey, brother-in-law, here you go.
Yeah, put the money in the pocket and go.
Yeah.
Go there. So I just think that it's I think it's just funny the way that all would happen back in the day.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But I'm checking Dave Mader. Have not heard, so I think we may just say that we had a problem.
Yeah.
On top of every other problem that we've had tonight. What a great night to do a program. Maybe we should have done this on Tuesday.
Maybe.
Oh, well, it's all right. It's all right.
Not raining yet.
Yeah, we had people on, so it's okay. As long as people enjoyed the conversation. So, again, your race weekend is going to be jam-packed. If you are here in the Central Texas area, you got all the stuff up there in DFW. You got Waco. You've got the sprint cars going to be over at Heart of Texas on Friday night. And then when it comes to racing here in this area with the South Central Texas, you've got nobody confirmed or nobody denied. So you're going to have Cotton Bowl. You're going to have I-37. You're going to have Texana. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That is a lot all on a Saturday. So if you can't figure out a way to get yourself to a racetrack, remember, check in with our buddies over at Race on Texas, and they will hook you up. They will get you hooked up. And it's great people like Joyce. Joyce checking in right there, that she doesn't care if we had 10 guests that were lined up and none of them called, or none of them they all had a problem. She's still going to listen to this shit show.
That's good.
That's the kind of people we need right there.
That's good. That's good.
Here is the graphics that we had for Dave Mader, though. When we get him back, we will recycle these. So check it out. That's the most recent one right there, where he won that late model stock. That's pretty cool.
Did you get the one from Montgomery? Or is that the one that's the one from Montgomery?
Yeah, it's the one from Montgomery. And then there's the old school right there. Passing Mark Martin. Mark Martin doesn't even have a window net. Well, it's black and white. Maybe he does. I don't know.
That's who he passed to win the Derby, was Mark Martin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's an old all-pro picture right there. So fun stuff right there. Fun stuff. Hey, thanks to John Ricketts. I always love, Bobby, like we said, we were talking before we went on the air. It's like, okay, cool thing is tonight we get into the mind of a sprint car driver. And that is always so fun.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's we talk about it all the time to see what makes those guys tick, and obviously that's what makes them tick. Is the whole we love to race, love to race crazy. So
we do have a soundbite that'll kind of end the show. Just was kind of some of the stuff that whether it be weather related or challenges that we faced tonight. This about sums it up.
I wasn't going to wreck him, but I got to him and he turned him around.
Oh wait, hold on, wrong one. This one.
I think there's like a saying where you step on it. That's what I did. I stepped on it. So
yeah,
about sums it up.
That sure does.
Some of that was out of our control, but it's all good. But thank you for the great audio there. That's always really, really good stuff. But thanks to the folks for checking in. Thanks to John Ricketts. All of the rebroadcasts at RevvedUpSportsShow.com, RevvedUpSportsShow.tv, RealRaceTalk.com, RevvedUpRadio.com, all the Saturday podcasts at HornFM.com, as well as RevvedUpSportsShow.com.
Don't forget about the Facebook page. Hit the like and subscribe button. The more likes we have and the more subscribers we have, the more information we get to you. Look at doing some YouTube-only exclusive stuff coming up here shortly. But make sure if you're listening live, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button.
Absolutely. Don't forget the Saturday show right there. Check in with us, especially leading up to COTA. Lots of cool stuff planned. And apparently, from what I'm told, we're going to be doing some live shows, extended shows.
That's
extended
good.
shows. So that's That's always good. Looking forward to that. Y'all have a great week. Take care of each other. Be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well afterwards. Robert, have a great week, my man. Thank you for coming up north.
Yeah, right.
For nothing.
Yeah, right. It's all right. It makes it easy for the drive going back. As long as I can get through 35 and 183, it'll be okay.
We're back next week, guys. Take care.